Are we ready then, or is Lane making coffee?
Lane's making coffee.
Okay, well, I started my first match, so whatever. So welcome back to Book Club with your friends.
Well, friends is a bit strong.
Why?
Why does everyone say that?
God, that's like the second time I've heard that this week.
Look, I mean, you all are my friends, but I assume you're talking to the listeners.
Well, maybe the listeners need friends too, Dakota.
Friends is just the word we call our listeners. They're not actually like it's sort of like the word door. It can mean it has multiple meanings.
Oh, I see.
Door?
Who are the listeners of this podcast? Probably just us, so we can call the listeners friends.
We can start calling our listeners doors.
According to Austin.
We gotta make it work, right? So who read the chapter section?
I read the chapter section.
I read this a couple weeks ago.
It's very short.
It's super short.
It was very short.
How's everybody's week? Oh, that good, huh?
Jeez, you guys.
This week was sort of rough, but in some ways it was better than last week. So that was fun.
Yeah, I understand.
My week's been pretty dull. I don't do much anymore.
Why don't you sharpen it?
With what?
I don't know,
A
Austin.
week sharpener.
Yeah.
Meow.
Meow.
Still waiting for Lane.
You want up? Come on.
Is that
Joe's
Joe?
going to be joining us.
Joe.
Cat.
No, you don't need to be on the desk. Okay, I guess you're going to be on the desk. Wayne?
That was Tyler.
What?
Hey, I'm back.
Lane's back.
Lane's back. We can start talking about the section.
Yeah.
Hooray.
We read section 4 of Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy.
Yeah.
Wait, that's
so,
not right.
Did you like
No, that's
the
right.
functional description of how to move your hammer?
Yeah,
That was
good.
so cool.
I liked it.
All right, so let me read this chapter real quick.
It won't take you that long. It's pretty short, actually.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's see. I can't remember what the definition of isomorphism. Isomorphism has a unique inverse.
I also can't really remember too much from that. I think a lot of this is just reiterating important
Yeah.
points that he talked about earlier.
Earlier in section 2.
Yeah.
He was like, if you remember from section 2.
Good podcast. So next Saturday, 3:00.
It seemed to be about defining epimorphisms and monomorphisms more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. He actually provided the full definitions of that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Which was just...
talked about. Oh, sorry.
You keep going.
No.
I feel like we've talked about these to
Wow.
death already by way of the other podcasts. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the special case in the category of sets, and it turns out that the sort of weird way of describing functions as left cancelable and right cancelable actually work very well in a general category setting, which is nice. Because talking about morphisms by talking about what it does to elements of objects doesn't even make sense. So that's rules out a lot of the other possible ways of talking about morphisms.
He also emphasizes the importance of what side of your map you're kind of doing things too. So you can
Yeah.
compose on the left versus the right. And like use very that was
Is somebody like scuba diving?
I'm in my bathtub. Don't worry about it.
you scuba Steve.
Oh my god.
I'm doing dishes. I'm sorry.
In Tyler's
Are you like blowing a bubble in the water?
Coda and my relationship is none of you guys' business, okay?
I dumped a bunch of water out of a bowl into the sink, and it sort of gurgled out,
Oh, I see.
like down the drain, into the garbage disposal.
It's really funny. Did you guys look at any of the exercises, I guess?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the
cool.
first one I refuse to do because it's,
There were actually.
you know, the
That
worst.
one's such a pain in the ass looking problem.
Was it pain in the ass?
It's a lot
I,
of-
I don't know because I didn't try it because it only looks like a pain in the ass.
it's tedious because you have to identify what exactly your maps are. So when you say like IH, you have to identify that as being the map, right, from C to E, composed with G, F, which is a map from A to C. And so by that, you say like, oh, since this is a category, like it's more notation heavy than it needs to be, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt.
Man, I must be retarded then, because I thought it was super simple. Because
It is. It's
if you just assume it works for the kth case, wouldn't it obviously work for the kth plus one case? Because you just tack it on at the end of whatever you did for the kth case, right?
No,
Yeah.
proving it is not the hard part. It's just,
writing it down.
writing down
oh,
what the problem is, like, saying, and, like, for any, like, way of putting parenthesis into this garbage, and it's, like, actually writing that out is kind of a pain. But yeah, it is, like, easy to prove and sort of, like, obvious intuitively.
Yeah. So it's awesome that you got that right away. We're like, this is fucking easy because now you don't have to write it down because it is. Thank God.
It's one of those things that we just assume it's true, but proving it is a pain in the ass, but you have to do it, like, once in your life.
Well, I think for stuff like this, you just like reference whoever proved it first, and you're like, okay, I'm done. What types of relations is the question category of a groupoid? Oh, what was the definition of a groupoid again? I always forget this.
I think it's every morphism is an isomorphism, I think.
Yeah.
What I thought when I looked at this, I thought it might have to be an equivalence relation, but I'm not sure.
No, every morphism is an isomorphism. It's a groupoid.
For the second problem, you mean?
Yeah.
I would say equivalence relation too. That makes a lot of sense.
I forgot why it makes sense, and I have literally no justification for it. I just remember what my answer. I remember what my answer was when I looked at it a couple weeks ago.
Once you tack on the, what are we missing here? So we have reflexive, transitive, and whatever the last thing.
Symmetric.
Yeah. Once you tack on symmetric, then you know that AB is equivalent to BA. So automatically you have some way of relating things from. You automatically get the inverse of each of your morphisms.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense why. That's a neat one. Let F and HOM C A B. So what about the third one? So let A and B be objects of a category, and let F be some morphism between those objects. Prove that if F is a right inverse, or has a right inverse, sorry, then F is an epimorphism. Didn't we already do this one?
I think we did it in the case of the category of sets.
Oh, I see. What do you
Yeah,
think?
because what does it mean to be an epimorphism? It just means that you're right cancelable. So you just, for any two things, you write down it's alpha prime F is alpha double prime F. You just tack on that right inverse garbage and it goes away.
Garbage.
Just like me.
Mitch, don't say that. You're not garbage. You'll never
You don't know me.
Mitch, you're not garbage.
Thanks, Lane.
My assignments I handed to Seppi are garbage.
Wow.
But they have such amazing titles usually.
They do. The last title is here. Let me read my last title for you. It was Technology 2. This homework has made my social life properly discontinued.
Oh, Lane, I was so happy that you met my friend Hadrian,
Oh, why?
because I think the two of you would like enjoy each other's company and get along.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, that's cool.
Wow, Lane.
I'm
Don't
sorry.
be too excited.
No, I mean, like, I thought he was.
I
gonna
like introducing my friends to other of my friends. I'm sorry.
It was really sincere and not like a joke. I thought he was going to make a joke or something.
Oh.
It was like, Hadrian's always been called Bowling Lane 2 for some reason. I'd be like,
Oh,
that's funny.
in the wall.
But the fact that he was just being sincere it made my day. Thanks, Dakota.
No problem.
What about the second bullet of this question? So we're in the same scenario as before, so show that the converse does not hold. Right? So if you have an epimorphism, then it has a right inverse thing. Okay, so if you have an epimorphism, then it doesn't necessarily have a right inverse?
Yeah.
Okay. A category with an epimorphism without a right inverse. What about that, the one category that we had from the previous question? The reflexive transitive,
The one where they're ordered pairs that are related to each other by a reflexive and
Yeah.
transitive.
does that work?
I think so, because if you just take any two pairs of... If you take a pair A-B, such that B is not related to A, so if you don't have the other direction, then in that category, like, everything is an epimorphism, I think. So,
Yep.
so that pair is an epimorphism, but to say that it would have a right inverse means you would have to have B related to A, which
Isn't necessarily true.
isn't necessarily true.
I like watching Austin play Magic better than Bennett Foddy, because with Bennett Foddy, I knew there was slowdown, but with this, I can't tell.
Did you watch me punt last game? Punted that away?
Bennett Foddy?
No. Magic.
Oh, punt? Like a football?
Yes.
Well, I made a mistake that lost me the game.
Oh, no, I didn't quite see that, I guess.
I had a land that said you can only use this land to cast creature spells. And I had 2 other open land and a Aether Vial.
Mm.
And I drew a Thraben Inspector. And Thraben Inspector, when it enters the battlefield, I can pay 2 mana to draw a card. And I could have done that and then used my Aether Vial to play whatever I got. But instead, I tapped my planes instead of my Ancient Ziggurat, and so I couldn't pay the 2, so I couldn't draw a card.
That sucks.
And then I just lost.
Is there a category in Magic cards at all? Let's think about this. This is really important.
No.
Thanks, Dakota.
So question 4.4. Prove that the composition of 2 monomorphisms is a monomorphism. To do so, one can define a category C sub-mono of a category C by taking the same objects as in C and defining Hom sub C sub-mono of AB to be the subset of Hom sub C of AB consisting of monomorphisms for all objects AB. CF exercise 3.8, of course, in general, C sub-mono is not full in C. Do the same for epimorphisms. Can you define a subcategory C sub-non-mono of C by restricting to morphisms that are not monomorphisms?
That's funny.
Oh, boy.
So let's start with the first statement. Let's prove that the composition of 2 monomorphisms is still a monomorphism.
Okay.
So what does it mean to be a monomorphism?
Means it's left cancelable, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. That one seems really easy. right? Because you just follow along with what it means to be a monomorphism in each case. So if you have two monomorphisms, say F and G, and you compose them, you get F compose G, and then you take alpha prime and alpha prime prime, right? Then you get F compose alpha prime and F compose alpha prime prime says that alpha prime is equal to alpha prime prime, right? So then you take G of those two things and they're equal, so alpha prime is equal to alpha prime prime.
Yeah, that seems
You just write it down and then you do one and then you do the other.
Yep, pretty much. GFF prime equals HFF prime implies that GF is equal to HF implies that G equals H.
What is happening?
What?
I don't know. You making coffee is the funniest thing right now.
Guys, there's no need to laugh at me putting my cats in a wood chipper. It happens all the time.
It's like you're making some weird indie music or something.
Well, I'm glad that the sound of coffee is pleasant to your ears.
Well, I mean, I didn't say it was pleasant. I just said it was indie music.
Oh. I'm sorry you don't like indie music.
Oh, is it over?
Nope.
Let's see. Okay.
Okay, as long as it's easy to deduce that one. Okay, so... Yeah, I mean, C sub mono, I mean, it should just have the properties of C, and we know that it's closed since compositions are still in C sub mono, because we just proved that compositions of monomorphisms are monomorphisms.
Yeah, it seems reasonable that it's a category. Would it violate any other things potentially? I mean, the composition is really the only thing that's important, I would say.
Probably not.
And epimorphisms is like trivially identical to doing that.
Oh, you also have to check that identities are monomorphisms, but that's sort of obvious because they're identities. But that's the only other thing you would have to check.
Don't just say clearly, otherwise I don't want to be mad.
He did that in this section. I don't think he explicitly said clearly, but he said something equivalent to it before actually giving the proof.
It's like, this is so obvious a baby would understand.
The interesting part is, can you define a subcategory of the non-monomorphisms? So all you'd have to do is like go into the category of sets and find two functions that weren't bijections that compose to give a bijections.
I mean, you just couldn't have identities then if you were in C non-mono.
You're right.
Oh, yeah, you're right. There you go. There you go.
This was a really short section.
That's
Want to
fine.
move on to the next one?
The next question?
The next question. I didn't read the next section.
The next section. Because
The next
this
section
one
is
is so short.
pretty dang cool. But
Well, if you guys read it, then I don't mind you moving on. I just don't have it. I didn't read it.
I did not know it enough to talk about it.
yeah, I didn't read it super explicitly, but they're things we used a lot in algebra, so I'm familiar with them.
I just wondered if you guys would go on since this one was so short.
You get well.
Thought I'd
We gotta get
suggest
some like filler or something. What should we do?
Badum Tish. Oh wait, that's a drum fill. Never mind.
I guess that'll work. Can you do that for 20 minutes?
Badum Tish. Badum Tish. Badum Tish. Badum Tish.
Please stop.
Badum Tish.
So, last question. Question 4.5. Give a concrete description of monomorphisms and epimorphisms in the category M set you constructed in exercise 3.9.
What is Zen set?
I don't remember.
The category consists of.
Oh, it was the multi-set category.
Oh,
A copy of set as a full subcategory. Oh, I see.
What's going on? Give a concrete description. Okay, so I don't know. Just well, I basically just compressed every like multiply appearing. I don't know how to say words.
I'm sorry.
Into like an equivalence class last time, and just said, like those will now just that equivalence class will just be put into a set, and it'll be the set of those equivalence classes, and then the cardinalities of those equivalence classes will be. So then you could just define a monomorphism as an injection and an epimorphism as a surjection in the functions between sets of those equivalence classes.
Interesting. Tell me more.
That's it. That's
Oh,
like
sweet, cool.
over.
Done.
I just didn't quite like think about. I didn't do any of these exercises, so I didn't really think about this. So I'm just gonna go with what you said because it sounds really correct.
Well, I don't know how to feel about that, because I feel as if I just made that shit up right on the spot.
someone's watching Grep.
No, that's my ringtone.
Oh,
Text tone, sorry.
Boop-a-doo-boop.
awful.
Why? John's not in part of Game Grumps anymore. They're fine.
What?
I'm just kidding.
That's from their Green Grumps animated. It's like the intro to it.
Boop-a-doo-boop.
Ha ha ha.
Can Mitch and I be your new ringtone? Boop-a-doo-boop.
Ha ha ha.
It's just me going badum-tish.
No, that would be an awful ringtone.
Wow.
You could have my ringtone and make it like you received a message sound effect from AIM. It's like boodly-doo.
But why are we talking about changing my ringtone? I like my ringtone.
Yeah, because we're gonna make it better though.
Oh,
Who would you rather have, Dan and Aaron or me and Lane?
Yeah, come on.
Dan and Aaron.
No.
Wow.
No, you're wrong.
Wow.
Mitch and I are like Game Grumps +1, man.
That's right.
I have a few ideas for ringtones.
good.
So, have you ever heard like the Star Wars Special Edition Obi-Wan Kenobi scream?
The Obi-Wan Kenobi scream.
Yeah, when like the sand people are coming and he scares them away.
I have no idea. I've never seen
What?
Star Wars.
Alright,
Yeah.
tend to get a YouTube vid.
Okay, I gotta check it out then.
Let's see. Come on, YouTube. Go fast.
Gotta go fast. Where's the link?
Obi-Wan. I'm searching for
Oh, okay,
Kenobi's
sorry.
scream.
Did you see they finally finished Paper Mario a while ago?
Yeah, it's probably the worst playthrough of any game they've ever played.
So I gotta say, I thought it was really funny that they like came back after their break to finish it, and Dan was like, I grinded out and hit him 100 trials, and I was like, man, we are doing some dumb stuff. And then immediately he proceeds to play terribly.
Yeah, it's just not a playthrough that I enjoyed, even though it's one of my favorite games of all time.
Well, it's because Aaron's
Yeah.
really angry about it, and Dan won't learn how to do anything.
Well, that's because when Dan actually tried to learn how to do anything, Aaron got really upset with him.
Sounds about right.
Okay, so I found the video,
I like that you're laughing about it already.
and it's
the woo! Right.
yeah.
You gotta. I don't know what you're talking
So in this video, it's
it's Buddy McFart fuck.
it's the second.
Don't laugh at someone's name, Lane. It's rude.
It's sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
come on, dude. That is just
I'm sorry,
the
McFart
worst.
fuck. What is that? A donkey? Oh, okay. Blu-ray. He's just like, whoa! What the fuck? Okay, is that your ringtone? Buddy McFartfuck? Is that your ringtone?
So I love the YouTube comments. Sounds like Obi-Wan just ejaculated so hard that he pierced through time and space.
A ghost having an orgasm. That was
Sounds like someone put a dude in a reverb chamber and shoved a broom up his ass.
It's a good chapter, guys.
So on my tutoring job, I now can tutor for discrete math.
Oh, did you level up?
Well, so you just have to take the exam for the subject, and I passed it.
Oh, nice. What
It
is
had a
exactly
lot of-
discrete math?
It had a lot of combinatorics. It had a lot of graph theory. It had a lot of Boolean algebra.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
There's like
Yep.
proof, the true and false table. So it's like basically I can tutor math 270,
Nice.
which was really sweet.
That's good stuff. That's neat.
It had a lot of whatever you call it, graph theory stuff on it.
Hmm.
Wasn't expecting so much graph theory.
That makes sense. It's a really big part of, I think, like that kind of stuff nowadays. Like it's very useful. So
I just don't remember doing graph theory when I was with Dewan, so it kind
Oh.
of caught me off guard. Really.
I don't think you do it in 270 really, but like
Yeah.
the graph theory in the modern day is like super duper cool.
Yeah.
Asking me a bunch of questions about trees, and I was like, the things outside?
I like the language to the subject because it's always like, I'm going to take a walk through these trees and I'm going to cross this bridge. Okay, now prove this graph is not disconnected. It's like, oh, okay.
You have a lot of interesting problems where the graphs that you're looking at have infinitely many vertices. So, for example, there's a story behind this section. So, there's this problem that says take your vertices as all the points in R2, and so this is like horrible to describe, but let an edge connect two vertices if and only if they're a distance exactly 1 apart.
Oh, so it's like a lattice?
Yeah, so if you have a point in the plane, then the collection of vertices that are connected to it are like the unit circle around it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can ask the question, what is the chromatic number of this graph? And it's a wide open, very hard problem, but it's known that the answer is somewhere between like 4 and 8. And Eric, the postdoc who's teaching undergrad logic that I'm grading for, he mentioned this to his class the other day, like sometime last week. And one of his students asked, wait, so if we solve this problem, do we get an A? And he was like, if you solve this problem, your grade no longer matters because you'll have a job.
You should just be a dick and just say, like, you get 1/2 of a letter grade higher.
You have to give your proof to me right away, and you can't copyright it or anything. Like, you have to just give it to me.
It'd be like, if you solve this problem, then you no longer have any excuse for getting any of the homework problems wrong, so I will grade them double harshly.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit. That's funny. Oh, in Diff Talk, Seppi brought up, he like talked about examples of smooth manifolds in like different dimensions. And for dimensions like 1, 2, 3, and 0, they're all like classified. And they're really nicely classified. There's only a few different like classes of them. And then he was like, okay, in dimension 4, we don't even know what R4 is really. He's like, there's infinitely many smooth structures on it that are all completely different.
Well,
Yeah.
like uncountably many.
Yes.
I think.
So it's pretty crazy. That was fun. What kind of stuff have you been doing, Mitch?
Me?
Yeah.
Work?
I mean, come on, Mitch. Just humor me, please.
Well, I'm writing a paper, so I